So we have some things to cover. During the pandemic, I think you all noticed that we had a pandemic. There was a few things going on, and we were really busy. And when I say we, I mean teams of people just like yourselves who've never really, some of them have never been very active, now are quite active, and that's what I specialize in. So I'm going to be breaking this talk down into several different bits. The first is going to be mainly activism, about Guerrilla Skeptics, which is the wing that we do the psychic stings. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about Wikipedia, and then I'm going to have a little serious one-on-one talk with you guys in the last 5 minutes or so. So that's how it's going to be breaking down. I have a few things to make sure I mention, and that is I'm going to have a lot of slides that have some words on them, but try to ignore the words as much as possible. They're just a guide. Everything is on the website that you see here, abouttimeproject.org. I will show this slide several times, and that will be your cue to pull out your phones and take a picture of the slide. So when you have a chance, you could go and look at this, maybe Tuesday or so. So that's how it's going to work. The other things I want to mention is these people that I'm going to be talking about in the Guerrilla Skeptic part of the talk, which is the grief vampire talks. These are people who are being victimized. These are not people who are we should be belittling or thinking about as being some sort of, not intelligent enough. But when you are going through grief, loneliness, desperation, and so on, especially exasperated during the pandemic, that's kind of the things that happen. So keep that in mind. Anybody who has sat for a reading in the situations that the Guerrilla Skeptics have, which is whenever they're actually watching people bawling their eyes out and terrified and desperate and just, it's awful. It is not entertaining. So I know we might have a little laugh once in a while when we think of somebody who's lost their fortune to a psychic or whatever. It's not funny, okay? So I'll make that very clear. So we're going to start talking about the Guerrilla Skeptics. So this is a little organization that I run. It's loose-knit. We have people all over the world. They come and go depending on how much time commitment they had. And I'm not taking active recruits for this at this time because at the moment I've kind of shut down the Guerrilla Skeptics. We're still following psychics. We're still archiving everything they do that we can find. We tend to focus mainly on those people who are I hate to say it, but celebrity kind of psychics. Not the psychic necessarily down the street, but the psychic that is probably got a TV show, has a little more notoriety. That's the ones we really focus on. And when I say psychic, I'm really meaning those who claim to speak to the dead. So like the mediums. That's more of what I'm focusing on. So the Guerrilla Skeptics, as I say, has gone over time, various different groups of people. And we've done a lot of different stings. And they're all on the website, which is the one I gave you. But I'm going to be just talking about a couple. One of the first things we did during the pandemic is we went to every single website and social media that we could find for every every grief vampire. We call them grief vampires, a name made famous by Mark Edward, my partner. And these are people who try to get a hook in you. And they're really trying to... these people who are in grief, they're really trying to get a hook into your grief, and they manipulate it. So we went to all their websites, everywhere we could find, because we felt that we wanted to see if anybody predicted the pandemic, because that really hit everybody, right? Worldwide, even if you didn't die, well, you're here, thank you. But I mean, even if you didn't have a death or whatever, it affected everyone economically, lockdowns, mask wearing, and so on. So we went to all these websites, and the way we were measuring if they had predicted the pandemic or not was to look and see what they had scheduled during the pandemic. Because if you were truly some sort of psychic, you would think you would have noticed that we were going to be locked down for years, right? A couple years or so, and that they would be very disrupted. So we went to several, and I'm going to show you three. This is Thomas John. He had a show over at Caesars. Now, don't read all these screens. I know you're trying. Stop. This is just a guide. I have an article on the website. You can look at it in detail. Just pay attention to me. Eyes on me. Stop looking at the screen. So it's just a guide. So one of the things that Thomas John did is you're still looking at the screen, okay? So one of the things we noticed is he had put up in March, I think he started at Caesars in like January or December of 2019, if it was December. And what he did is he was telling everybody, hey, in March, Ticketmaster has all of my tickets available into July. Make sure you get your tickets. Well, he didn't notice that he wouldn't be at Ticketmaster. In fact, nobody would be at Caesars in July. No, he didn't notice it. You can see all the cancels there on the screen. Another person that you may or may not know, this is Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. And one of the things she was doing is she not only had her events and they were canceled, but she would turn around and she would reschedule the event only to have it canceled again. So we saw this happen with many psychics. And in some of them, it was really odd. They would say on their website, it would say something like, hey, we'll let you know when it's safe to come back again and when it's safe to come back and it's publicly able to do this kind of thing. And I thought, well, shouldn't you know when we're going to be able to go back again and when it's going to be safe and the venues are starting to open? But it's funny how nobody notices these things. The last one we did was John Edward, the guy who knows his alphabet really well. And John Edward, what he was doing is he goes over to Australia. Nobody else got that joke? I just made it up. Thank you. There's one. Okay, so he would go over to Australia all the time, and he would do his tour over there. Well, he was canceled. Not only was he canceled, but everybody was canceled for going into Australia for a very long period of time. And that's because they did not see it coming. So that is one of the things my Guerrilla Skeptics and I did during the pandemic. Oh, hey, on Sunday, don't forget, make sure you show up. I know you're going to be tired, to the Sunday papers, because that is one of the best parts of SciCon is the Sunday papers. And my dear friend Rob Palmer here in the front row, I don't know, wherever he was. He's somewhere. There he is, filming me, oddly enough. So Rob Palmer is going to be giving a talk on the Australian Psychic Prediction Project. That was another thing we were involved in during the pandemic. So make sure you go and check that out. It's really going to be interesting. So I'm going to talk about one more thing. Now, this is, again, I wanted to warn you that the people that we're going to be talking about, these are victims, okay? And they're almost all women. And there's no entertainment value whatsoever in this. So when you see for entertainment only, that's BS. There is no entertainment whatsoever in seeing these people desperate. Not only are you seeing the people who are getting readings bawling their eyes out, but what's also happening is the people in the comment section are screaming out for attention. They're just like, please, 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 please call on me, please. They're desperate. And what happens is this is not fun to see these people having just meltdowns because they're so desperate and lonely and trying to get attention to get the psychic to read them. So there's nothing wrong with the screen. I know you all had lunch and all. This is people's faces blurred out for privacy readings, and I've taken their names off of there. So what we did a lot of the time is we attended, the Guerrilla Skeptics and we would attend a lot of these functions happening on Zoom because the psychics went over to Zoom, and so we did as well. A lot of the things we attended, there would be like 300 women there, again, almost all women, and they would be there on the screens, and then they would call people off one at a time, usually people with very unusual full names on the Zoom screen, and they would go in and they would do a reading for them. Well, in the case of the people who hot read, and if you don't know what that is, please check it out. In the case of those, my team was also on these Zoom screens, and they're in as, with their video turned off, with their Zoom screen, the name changed, and we're just watching and observing them. And we could be on their social media within a couple minutes of the time the psychic has called them on. This is called hot reading. And we could see in live, we would say, oh, look, the dog died. I guess he's coming up next. And then here's the psychic saying, oh, there was this dog that died. And we're like, yeah, we know, because we just looked at the same person's social media you're looking at. So this was very common. Now, these are adults, right? I think it's horrible what's happening to them. I have all my reasons why I think so, but I have this they can spend the money the way they want to. These are adults. Where we cross the line is when we start getting into children. So Thomas John, the aforementioned person that I had talked about earlier, he decided he was going to do a spirit reading for children ages 5 to 12. Okay? It happened, he was going to have it happen in April of 2021, and I thought, this is probably not a good idea. 8 children with their guardian, during school hours even, on Zoom, $400 each, okay? So why are you guys reacting for the $400 and not to the 5-year-olds having a medium reading them? But that's what was going on. So I said, we should shut this down. I think this is dangerous. This is not a good idea. But what we did is we couldn't get it shut down. I went to everybody I could think of, and I couldn't get anybody to shut it down. One person responded to me that has like a good platform, and I thought might be able to at least shame him enough or get enough fervor to get the shutdown of this talk. And that was Stephen Novella from Science-Based Medicine. You know him from the SGU. And I thought, well, he's got a PhD, he's in neuroscience, and he's at Yale. I thought maybe that would do it, but it didn't. He wrote this article, you can read about it later, it's also on the website, about it's probably not a good idea to have these children preyed upon by a grief vampire. And it didn't work. Thomas John did see the article, and he said, I'm going forward with it anyway, because children are spiritual beings anyway, and they need to have a course, So I didn't want it canceled, but when it was obviously too late, we had to attend ourselves, because we had to know what was going on. It's a very long story I don't have time for. We called it Operation Onion Ring, and it's on the website. You can look it up and read it in detail. It is a bit long for a reason, but what we were able to do is we were able to send some people to attend. Now, I want you to imagine everybody who's been on Zoom. It's kind of hard to hide yourself on Zoom when there's 8 screens and the psychic. So there's only 9 people on the screen. So how am I, Susan Gerbic, one of his biggest critics, going to attend his event on Zoom? And my entire Guerrilla Skeptics team wanted to be able to watch it live, because we have, let's just say there were some moles in the group. And so we needed to be able to, because it was a double-blinded sting, we needed to be able to give them real-time information. So I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to ruin it for you too much, but I can just say we got in, I watched it live, Mark Edward, one of the biggest critics of psychics, is in there watching it live, and the whole Guerrilla Skeptics team is watching it live, and we paid $800 to go, and we used money from the James Randi Educational Foundation who gave me $800 to do this, and they couldn't tell, no surprise. So we caught him twice, and we caught him so much his pants are on fire. It was great, so you gotta check this out. I have the sting all written up, but I haven't released everything because I am hoping someday the media will take it seriously and want to go and do a story on Operation Onion Ring. So I've held back some of the video and all sorts of stuff because I'm hoping somebody will take it seriously. So this is the article you can find on Skeptical Inquirer, which is where I write. All the cool kids write there. And Operation Onion Ring, so you can read all about that there. Read all about it. So I'm going to switch hats very quickly. And I guess I have to speak a little faster. That timer seems to be really fast back there. And I'm going to talk about Wikipedia really quickly. I run a Wikipedia editing team. It's 12 years we've been doing this. It's called the Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia. I have a lot of people that are here. You can see them with their name tags or their shirts or the little stickers on that look like a gorilla shaking its fist or something. And so you can talk to them about any questions that you might have about Wikipedia. I can let you know that we are training people actively. It takes 2 to 4 months to get through our training. It is a wonderful program for people to be able to do activism in their homes. And we focus only on science, scientific skepticism, claims of the paranormal, and people of science, and we do this in all languages possible. 45% of all the work we do is in languages other than English, because pseudoscience doesn't end at a border anywhere. So again, I hope you were taking a picture of my screen, and there'll be one more instance to take a picture of this website. So this is our Guerrilla Skeptics team. This is an amazing team where we change things. Now I'm going to go through this, I guess, a little quick. This is one example. The beginning of the pandemic, we started thinking that maybe vaccines might be a little important and people are going to be reaching out to Wikipedia to get information. So one of the Wikipedia pages we wrote was for this group, Children's Health Defense. Anybody recognize the man on the screen? Robert Kennedy Jr., one of the biggest anti-vaxxers out there. Oh, gee, I'm going to get sued now. This is his website. And we thought, you know, children and health and defense, we got to get, it sounds like a cool title. How would you know it's an anti-vax group unless you knew about this? So we wrote the Wikipedia page. Don't read this right now, but I'm just going to point out that in the lead, the very top part of the Wikipedia page, there's some information up there about the organization that's highlighted there in yellow. And then on the other side, there's a sidebar. It says alternative medicine. Our team is notable for putting this information out there in those places because most people only read the very top lead or maybe take a quick glance at it. So it's very important to get this misinformation called out on Wikipedia because it is the place where everybody goes to for the information. Not just you, but the media gets their information from here. And we know that this is a problem because Children's Health Defense website has this big disclaimer on it. It says censorship is hiding us from you. And then if you go to their website, you will see that they feel that they're being censored. And if you were to read this, not this moment, you would see it says that they've tried to give information to Wikipedia to get it to correct the misinformation on the Wikipedia page, but for some reason Wikipedia doesn't want to take it, and there's reasons because it's not. They're trying to say they're not an anti-vax group, not an anti-fluoridation group, and so on, but they are. So that's on their Wikipedia page, and they're pissed off about it, and nothing makes me happier. So Children's Health Defense, if I haven't made it clear, we wrote the Wikipedia page for this in French and English, and this is a stat tool that was written by Kyle Polish, who's the data skeptic, if you see him. Yeah, there he is, right there in front of me. So he wrote this tool for us. It's called Stat Badger, and we can look at our views. Now we can only see how many views a page has got. We don't know anything else. We don't know if it's the same person going over and over. We don't know if they're reading the whole page. But you can see the spike here. Now don't worry about the numbers at the bottom or anything. You can see that there's this giant spike. It's getting a lot of views to the Children's Health Defense Wikipedia page we wrote. In fact, it's got over 405,000 views. That's a lot of views. So I'll do one more really quick. You may have heard of the America's Frontline Doctors, who are not. And this has kind of been mainstream and gotten a lot more prominence because of the insurrection, you know, that traitorous thing that happened on January 6th. So they got a lot more attention from that. This is another Wikipedia page we've written, and that page is already over 400,000 views as well. So we're getting a lot of information to people. We write these in other languages as well. So if you guys want to join, please come over and talk to me at my table in the CFI booth, and you can get more information. So in vaccine pages, vaccines only, we've written a little over 110 pages, vaccine related. Remember, 45% in languages outside of English. And this is where you'll hit, we're at 6 million page views on those Wikipedia pages. Something that we couldn't do as an individual, just one person, or even 100 people. We would have a hard time getting that much information out there. But because we're making sure that the Wikipedia pages are in great shape with great information, great citations, this is where a lot of people are going to get their information. Not just us, but the media and other people who are making the article, reading it, and then expanding it beyond their base. So I do want to mention really quick, I see if it's this slide. We have written a few pages. We've been around about 12 years. We have written lots of, we're always editing, so we're putting small things here and there. But as far as editing a Wikipedia page and writing it completely, either taking it from an awful looking stub and then rewriting it to something really quality, we've written 2,160 pages, which is what we've done. And those 2,160 pages are already over 124 million page views. So that's a lot of information. So that's not just your crowd, you know, sitting in armchair skepticism. Thank you. And the Neil deGrasse Tyson reminded me of how you can make the numbers sound bigger. So that's almost 250 million views. Thank you, Neil, if you're here, for reminding me about that. So before, I want to mention this also, if you're going to do any kind of activism, a person, a place, a thing you want to call out or really educate people, before you start that activism, make sure the Wikipedia page is in great shape, because you may only have one shot at the media. You may go viral, but by the time you are viral, it's too late to start on the Wikipedia pages. So come and talk to my team if you want information on that. If you're planning anything, please, let's get the Wikipedia pages in order first, before the TV show comes out, before the viral thing happens, whatever. Because that's where people are going to turn to after they see whatever activism you do. They're going to say, oh, well, what is that homeopathy thing? And so the Wikipedia pages need to be well written first. So now, here's where I get to go to my, oh, I'm on time. So this is where I get to go to the, let's have a talk, going to the herding cats kind of thing. This is what I specialize in. I was a baby photographer 37 years, JCPenney's, and I now use those skills to work with people, to manage people. So a few years ago, we had this March for Science. And we had a great time. I'm in Monterey area. I had a great time. The picture of the people in the background I took, still speaking for the woodpeckers. I love this slide. And what happened is we came out in droves, and we wore our nerdy shirts, and we had our nerdy posters, and everything was amazing, and it was so much fun to be around such like-minded people in science. And I went on tour afterwards, and I went Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and all over the United States. This is taken in Arizona. And I did this talk called March for Science, Now What? And what I was trying to explain is that what happened is the March for Science was just basically slacktivism. And if you don't know that word, there's a Wikipedia page you can look up. Slacktivism. We didn't write it. Brian Dunning talks about this on one of his podcasts, Skeptoid. I don't know if he's here or not. But Skeptoid talks about slacktivism and how it's actually a detriment, because you feel like you've done something, and so you're less likely to do something that really does matter, because you've done something, like something on Facebook or whatever. And then you're like, oh, I did something. But so the March for Science was fun and wonderful, but there was no follow-up, there was no leadership, there was nothing that really got something taken care of. Because remember what happened right after the March for Science. You know, we had elected that administration that I shall not name, but that nonsense. And then we've had some of the worst anti-science we've lived through, and anti-intellectualism, anti-experts. It's just been horrible. And I blame us. And I say all of us, including myself, because what happened is we didn't take it seriously. And I've been saying this for a long time. We have to take this seriously. It's going to come back and bite us in the butt. And it is. We just went through this pandemic, and thank you for showing up, you guys, because that's half of activism. And look at, all of us are unmasked, and we're able to be here safely because of science and how amazing science is and how wonderful, from shoulder to shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, we were able to come out with these vaccines so quickly. So this is a really great, powerful moment. So yay science, right? So we're able to do this just a couple years after. Now, we spent time, remember the flat earthers? They were a good laugh, right? Hollow earthers, oh my God, how stupid these people are. But what happened is, while we were laughing, and I like a good laugh, while we were making fun of these people for their anti-science nonsense, or as Harriet Hall would call it, tooth fairy science, we were laughing at them, but in the meantime, all the magical thinking, all the conspiracy theories that they were experiencing just kept going farther into the rabbit hole, as Mick West would call it. And we didn't really, we talked about it and laughed about it, but we just didn't take it seriously to get them out of there, or at least learn enough about how to help. And what happened is they turned into QAnon, and they turned into anti-vaccine, anti-maskers, and so on. And they literally killed us. So not only did they come back to bite us in the ass, they're killing people with this anti-science nonsense. And as I'm trying to talk to you guys, herding cats, we have to take this seriously. We can no longer turn around and say, they'll take care of it. The administration will take care of it. We have to take care of this. It is our issue. We are scientific skeptics. And my goodness, if there's a crowd to talk to about this, it's you all and anybody who might be watching this video later. So I'm sorry I get a little passionate about it, but this is how it feels. So I'm going to talk about something really quickly. This is a really great pamphlet by Daniel Loxton, who we respect. He's now writing for Skeptical Inquirer, so that's really cool. This is from 2007. It's a little dated, but as I was looking through it, I said, this is pretty damn good. So this is on my website. You can also Google it. You can take a photo of it now if you want to remind yourself to go back and look at this. This has got lots of ideas about activism that people can do, small to large. Also, I have something else coming up that I can't really talk about in depth because we're in the middle of the activism. But if you have not already heard of facilitated communication, and Janice Boynton was here at SciCon the last time that we had SciCon, amazing, strong woman, and she's been kind of leading a team of people that I'm involved in, and it's facilitated communication. We can't talk about what's going to happen. It's still, like I said, uncovering and going on. But before you start hearing what the final results of these cool things that might happen really soon, you might want to get educated on it. So this is your warning. This is your 2-minute warning. Go and read about facilitated communication. Their Wikipedia pages are amazing because rule number 1, get the Wikipedia pages in great shape before the media and the world starts looking at it. So the Wikipedia pages are amazing. And then also facilitatedcommunication.org is a wonderful website to get into the weeds of it. Oh, look at this. There's Wendy Hughes. So right here on the front row, who's going, oh my God, I'm on the screen. So Wendy just wrote an article for Skeptical Inquirer. I urged her to do this because it was a powerful essay on romance scams. It's only been out like since Tuesday. So if you get a chance, please read this. It is so great. And not only is it romance scams are a thing, and they've been for a long time, this is a very powerful, very strong woman who did this. And trust me, it's emotional, and she did this, and she put her name and face on it. And that's kudos to her. Very strong woman. There she is. So when you see her around the conference, make sure you tell her thank you. So check this article out. And all the scams that you knew in the past are all old scams. Everything that was old is now new. If you get a chance to check out Lauren Pankhurst's book on modern swindlers, check it out. You can just substitute just modernize it a little bit. All those scams are still going on. So it's not just romance scams, it's everything out there. It's incredible, the things that people used to do and how similar they are to now. So check that out. So I'm about to end. Oh my God, on time somehow. And this is James Randi and myself. And I really miss James Randi. So I want you guys to understand that we cannot, it's hard to look at the picture. We cannot ever replace this man. But, and I hear this all the time, who's going to replace James Randi? Nobody's going to replace James Randi. But together as a group, we have more of a chance. We can, as a group, be more together, and we can probably do a lot more as a group. In the CFI break room, book room, you can come visit our table. I do have this QR code and some other things. One of the things I've been doing for CFI is to try to get the groups back. So we lost a lot during the pandemic. So what we really want you to do is come and have a discussion with probably me about joining the affiliate. It sounds really awful, but it's like we're just trying to get a website built at the moment to get all the groups on it, and so that we can see who's still active, who's not, who needs a group, who's trying to form a group, who wants to find a group, so that we can start meeting in public again. So again, this is my last slide. This is your chance to take a picture of that screen so we can please get you over there to look at all the things that are on the website. There's tons of information out there. And I really do believe that together as a group, we can really do great things. So, juntos sí se puede.